in about 40 minutes. So this could cross over into the Monroe County, Illinois side of the river in about 20 minutes or so. That is Doppler indicated. Rotation is right here over Hillsborough. And one of the things that's really challenging, I think, for some folks, this is one of those things where you'll be in a tornado warning and then I'm not going to say all clear when it passes because look what's behind it. This is called training, where storms train over an area. They hit again and they hit again. Let's hope they don't develop rotation. If they do, we'll be here to let you know about it. But what it does mean is that if there is any damage or if things calm down a little bit, it's probably best not to go out and investigate because you're about to get hit by this storm in Hillsborough in about 20 minutes. So you're under the gun now with a tornado warning, and then you'll have more storms behind it with at least heavy rain and hail, maybe some gusty winds, and and of course lightning, and I don't want you out in that. So that is a new tornado warning. There it is in southern Jefferson County. Looks like the rotation again headed a little more towards the kind of Festus area. I'm going to rotate I'm going to loop the radar here.
Steve, while you're looking at that, we did just get a picture of that tornado warned storm that's near the one near Festus, and I see a distinct lowering on it, but I do not see anything other than that. I don't see any confirmed tornadoes.
Okay, appreciate it. And that's the other tornado warning that was up in Warren and moving into St. Charles County?
That's the one near Hillsborough.
Oh, that's this one. Okay,
yes,
so we've got pictures from spotters or management out there?
That is from a viewer photo that we saw.
So we're getting some eyes. Again, when you get in more populated areas, you kind of get these reports a little quicker, which is great. We like ground truth because we want to tell you exactly what's going on. But that storm has the potential to produce tornado. Radar indicated at this point right over Hillsborough. Moving to the east, I would say somewhere between Festus and Peevely in about 13 minutes. So, if you're around 55, anywhere in between Festus and Peevely, about 10, 13 minutes or so before this rotation comes right over you, potentially producing a tornado. We hope it doesn't, but we hope you play it safe rather than sorry. The way I like to think about it is when you get in your car, you don't think you're going to be in an accident, but you should buckle up. Well, this is a case where you should just buckle up, and you buckle up, come up out of the basement. Hopefully there's no damage, and the storm moves east and doesn't produce a tornado. But if it does, you're going to be in the right spot, and you're going to be safe, or you and your family are going to be safe. That's what we want from this. So you're also going to hear me repeat myself sometimes about being inside, away from windows, down in the basement. If you hear that a few times, it's because, trust me, when this is happening in your neighborhood, it's happening to you and your family, I think those words of this is exactly what you need to do can help and maybe reduce the anxiety. Because if you have a way to get the warning, if you're watching us, you got the warning, and then you know what to do, you're most likely going to be in a safe spot. It's not a real strong signature here. It's Doppler radar indicated, but it's right over Hillsborough. Mappaville would be next. It's probably crossing 21 right now, and then Mappaville would be next. Hematite probably just north of you for that rotation. I'm focused on the rotation right there. In fact, one more time on the track here, and we'll then go up and take a look at that other tornado warning. But one more time on the track, east, a little bit northeast at about 30 miles per hour. And so Hillsborough now, Mappaville I mentioned next, about 10 minutes. It says Festus in 21 minutes. That was 17 earlier. Maybe it was 35 miles per hour. Let's try that different speed here, and I think we'll get a better timing. So Mappaville's now down to 8 minutes. Yeah, Festus 16, Mitchie in about 22, Valmeyer in Illinois in about 30 minutes. I see some new severe thunderstorm warnings coming out. We'll get to those in a second. Let me just go analyze the other tornado warning.
I have a picture of it from St. Peter's in BJC Skycam 2.
In 2, okay.
And just see the lowering, which I just want to note.
And that's still progress west. You've just moved the camera?
This is
this
St. Peter's one.
St. Peter's.
Yeah.
BJC Skycam Network coming in really handy here, giving us the ground truth. And we haven't heard of any reports of damage from this. So far, we've seen with our eyes the ground truth of this actually lowering, but not quite looking like it was doing any damage on the ground. We didn't see what we call the condensation funnel all the way to the ground or even halfway, which is usually a good indication that there could be damage on the ground. So we haven't seen that as of yet out of this, which is good news. But there's still a tornado warning on this storm. as it moves east at about 35 miles an hour, and I still see a pretty good hook on it. Let me zoom in on this one. We'll analyze this, and we'll get to some of the new warnings. When I do that, Lee, I'm going to come to you for those, okay? But let's get more analysis on this Wentzville storm. Wentzville, you got hit by the hail. The rotation is actually on the south side and coming at Lake St. Louis. So that rotation we were just showing you, I'm going to get rid of the box. We'll see if they extend this tornado warning. That would be an indication that the rotation is still pretty strong. But right now they have it because it's kind of getting to the end of the tornado warning. But the bottom line is, if you're in Wentzville, you should be indoors away from windows because you've just been hit by heavy hail. And then if you're in Lake St. Louis, be down in the basement because that rotation is coming right at you. If you are on the south side of 70, basically, and you see Lake St. Louis right here, and the rotation is right here. See that hook? So what's happening is the cool air from that rain and the hail is rushing around here. If I draw it with arrows, I think visually you'll get to see what's happening here. And so this air is coming in like this, and then you've got this warm, unstable, humid air that was replenished after the morning storms, and that was our fear that we were going to warm up, and it's what we expected. It got warm, it got humid, and now we have that unstable air flowing into the storm. So it's ingesting this warm air, and then right at that intersection, right around here, anywhere along this hook, you can end up with a tornado developing. But so far, from our eyes in the sky, from the BJC Skycam network, and you may have to keep kind of panning that a little bit, I think. We're looking, oh, because that's Highway K, that's 64 right there. Yeah, just keep, I don't see, it's not as distinct as it was earlier, or we...
It's not. They are saying, the National Weather Service, that they, at this point, they do plan to extend that warning further into St. Charles County.
Okay.
That's a new tornado warning. That's the one that I was just mentioning.
And so you're hearing alerts go off because it actually goes into St. Louis County. See all that red? That is a tornado warning now for St. Louis County. There is the hook right here. It's coming right at Lake St. Louis. It's going to cross Interstate 64 here very shortly. And let me just zoom in on that particular cell a little more closely. You've got two kind of sections of this storm here. You've got the hail up here, and then you've got the rotation. I still think Wentzville, especially the north, as you get north of 70, it's just hail that you've been hit with. But the rotation, the potential for a tornado, kind of right on this section of the storm, that's headed right towards Lake St. Louis. So I would say even Darting Prairie, it may just miss you, but it's going to be really, really close. And do you have a speed on that? Are we still at?
Still 45 miles per hour now.
45.
And I also want to note it is still radar indicated.
That's important. Thank you for that. So it looks like in the latest scan too. Let me bow out of this and kind of get back to that hook. It looked like the hook kind of retreated to the north. You see that? Yeah, it did. That could be good. Like I said, on camera, it didn't look as distinct. Let's hope that's the case. In fact, so what I'm seeing is, well, hook here is kind of retreated up. It's good news for Darting Prairie so far, but if you're in Darting Prairie, you should be down in the basement. We want you in a safe place, inside, away from windows. Basement if you have it, if you don't, lowest level where you're putting as many walls between you and the outside. If you're in O'Fallon north of 70, you're getting hit by some of the hail, but that rotation is going to basically follow 70 here. So like St. Paul would be fine. You're just getting hit with heavy rain and hail, but especially in kind of in the O'Fallon near 70, that's getting into an area where that rotation is going to pass through. In fact, we have crews that are out there. They were in St. Peter's earlier. Let's check in on that crew and see what they can see. First Alert 4 crews on the road. Where are they exactly right now?
They're just approaching Lake St. Louis, looks like.
Okay.
That's Jim Thomas's crew. They're approaching Lake St. Louis
So
on the east side.
That's Jim Thomas. So First Alert 4 is Jim Thomas, and crew are, and Nathan Vickers. Sorry, Nathan. And I don't see a real strong signature, but I still want them to go a little bit north. So here's what I'll say. Next exit, I actually want them just to get off at the exit, go north. They don't have to go north far. They're going to get hit with heavy rain and hail, but I'd rather have them hit with that than any kind of rotation. And it sounds like Nathan can actually hear me. Mm-hmm. Nathan, are you in the car? What are you seeing right now? It sounds like you're getting hail in the car, am I right?
Yeah, Yeah, you can hear that hail really hitting the car hard. We can't hear you, and so I'm having Jim pull off the road here that's turning north. We're getting some really heavy rain. We're getting those, looks like smaller pieces of hail, but they're really hitting the car hard as we're pulling off here. We've kind of been watching this as we're coming up. Oh, you can see it on the pavement here as we're turning. We're looking at about popcorn-sized hail that's coming down from the sky and hitting us as we're turning north throughout the interstate. We're going to continue heading north here, Jim, to follow where this is going. But the traffic's been pretty slow. I think drivers have been paying attention to this and trying to heed the warnings. Okay, now it's lightening up a little. We're probably half a mile north of I-70 at this point, but that's kind of what we're seeing now.
You're good. You're good. You're fine. You're behind the storm. Basically what we did is we drove you through some heavy rain and hail to get you on the safer backside of the storm, as opposed to the southern flank of the storm, which has the rotation. Although I have seen that rotation kind of weakening lately, so that's the really good news. Glad you're safe, Nathan. You'll probably end up kind of staying there and turning around and maybe following the backside of the storm if we do get any damage. We'll try to position you nearby it. And folks, that's what we're trying to do with our crews. We don't want them running into a tornado. What we do want them to be is near storm damage so that we can report it to you and report that ground truth. But we want them safe. They have radar in the vehicle, and they know where the warnings are. They know where they're located, and then they can hear me and I can reposition them. And if we need to do that with anyone else, Abby, please let me know. But they're in a safe spot. They're totally good. And again, we're not seeing any, well, not real significant lowering. I mean, you see probably a little scud cloud is what we call that. They're from Progress West Hospital on the BJC Skycam network. I'll switch back over to the warnings, and then I'm going to loop this. And then I'm going to kind of focus back down near Festus, because remember, there's rotation headed towards Festus that has a radar-indicated tornado warning. So that rotation is right in this southern flank right here, and all this is hail. And what Nathan kind of just drove through, they were probably right here around 61. He just kind of drove through this sliver. So I put him up here. He would be here now because he's in the clear, as opposed to going down and getting hit by this, the potential rotation. So that rotation's sliding right along 70. Keep an eye on Barnes Jewish St. Peter's, the BJC Skycam out there. That's probably right about here, very near Mid-Rivers Mall. And if we look to the west, I doubt we're going to see that lowering because it's a little weaker signature, but you still see that little hook. See that little finger right there? So that's still warm air ingesting in, cold air wrapping around. And that tornado warning was extended into St. Louis, by the way. And so that's what we're tracking. There's really two aspects to this storm, though. I'm going to highlight the rotation right here. That is right around Lake St. Louis. Still be inside, away from windows, down in the basement if you're in Lake St. Louis. And even Darting Prairie, even though I see that hook has retreated a little north of you, let's just play it safe for about 5 more minutes. O'Fallon getting hammered right now, and that would head towards St. Charles and Newtown and 370. Let's get a timing on some of this too, and I'll get rid of the box so we get a little better idea. I'm going with rotation first, and we're going to zoom in and get real specific. So this, I believe she said 45 miles per hour now. St. Peter's, so you're talking like over by the Recplex in about 10 minutes or so. By 370 and 70, right about 11 minutes or so. And then St. Charles, this is the rotation I'm tracking, that would be in about 18 minutes. So there's the track of rotation, which so far doesn't look like it has produced a tornado. We haven't heard of any damage. We saw a rotating wall cloud on the BJC Skycam network, so we saw that lowering cloud. That's visual evidence of a rotating storm that could produce a tornado at any moment. That's why we're here, giving you the first alert, so that if it does, you're in a safe spot. And then, of course, the other aspect of the storm is all this red and purple, large hail out of this. And that's headed towards kind of northern St. Louis County and then the northern and eastern parts of St. Charles County. So what I'm going to do here is I've tracked for you more specifically the rotation, again, 18 minutes in St. Charles. But I also want to put a bigger track on the storm in general and move it to the east. Go to about 40 here. So remember, the northern side here is going to be mostly hail. The southern side here is where we're going to watch the rotation. But that's Campville in about 5 minutes, Black Walnut in 18 minutes, St. Charles says about 24 minutes with that little slower speed I put on 40 miles an hour instead of 45. West Alton about 30 minutes, and then Wood River into Illinois in about 41 minutes. So, you've got a tornado warning here that covers a vast part of St. Louis County that will be unaffected. So this is why we say, severe weather is not a guarantee it's going to happen to you, but the ingredients are there that this could flare up. And indeed it is, right along this path here. So if you're down in Maryland Heights and U City, we got to monitor this. We'll see if anything starts to either come our way from a different angle, or if the rotation starts to turn right, as we say, and dive south. I see no evidence of that right now, but otherwise this southern portion of the tornado warning is right now monitoring and not likely to get hit unless something changes. Leah, do you want to take a look at the Festus tornado warning? I know it has shrunk recently, but maybe on Max 2 you can kind of highlight where that rotation is moving into.
I also want to highlight, we've been watching that storm near, let me get an update on where that is currently located. But that tornado warning storm that's in St. Charles County that we've been following, I have eyes on it. I've just updated, and you can see right here, this is the lowering, but I'm not seeing anything touching the ground. So that's important to note. That is still above the surface, and we have a distinct lowering. We have certainly what looks like a wall cloud, and you can see that air is being fed into it here on the right side of your image, but I'm not seeing any extension to the ground. So this tornado warning storm still very much is radar indicated, but actually just with the last couple of scans, this area, again, it is feeding into more, so we're gonna have to watch that very closely. And you said the Festus storm?
Yeah, take a look at that rotation.
Let's see. While that's coming, we're getting a new tornado, or no, new
Severe
thunderstorm warning. Calhoun, Illinois, Greene County, Illinois, Jersey, Lincoln, Pike, Missouri. And that is the severe thunderstorm warning. 1.5-inch hail that is roughly ping pong ball size.
We got some 2-inch reports in O'Fallon and Lake St. Louis, I see here as I scan the chat, by the way.
You mentioned that. I've actually got a picture of it.
Okay.
This was in Richwood, but they did measure that 2-inch hail. So here's our little marker right here, and that's the 2-inch hail.
Okay, let's get back to the radar here at the wall, and I want to show you that storm that we're just talking about, focusing on Festus. They actually just extended the tornado warning. Same storm cell, but see that new red box that goes into Monroe County, includes Waterloo? You're now in a tornado warning. So a whole new host of people are going to start hearing sirens going off, and in fact, we've got from the storm that's in St. Louis County, look at that, 532,000 people in that tornado warning. The one that's near Festus is 26,000 plus 11 south, 37,000. So, we've got almost 600,000 people in tornado warnings right now. The one that we're monitoring to the north so far, it looks like it's lowering but not producing a tornado. It's radar indicated right there. And then there's one near Festus. Let's dig in on the data on that and see what's going on. If you're in Festus, we need you downstairs in the basement. That hook's coming right through you right now. And I'd give it about 5 minutes, and you're going to be, I don't want to say in the clear, because you're going to get more rain and hail and maybe even lightning, a lot of lightning probably. But as far as the rotation, that's right there. And as a new radar scan comes in, it'll update to the east eventually. But that's the area of rotation right over Festus right now. It's crossing 55. It's not a real strong signature, but it's strong enough to warrant the tornado warning. There could be, especially right over Festus. Let me zoom in a little bit more. So what we're noticing here, what I'm looking at, is the green represents raindrops that are going towards the radar, especially this red right here, that brighter red, that's stronger. So it is a little stronger outflow right here. And right in between is where you would end up with rotation and a possible tornado. So it would be on 55 in Festus, and probably going right over Crystal City, and then the radar update. So now it's going to be to the east. So that's where it was. Let's see where it is right now. And the next scan has jumped it right here. It's now through Crystal City, and it's now into Monroe County, headed towards Maystown.
Steve, we're getting a report of larger than golf ball size hail near Lake St. Louis, or we're getting some images. I don't know if these are delayed reports or if they just came in.
Let me, you know what, they probably just came in. Let me get to that and get to you in a second, because I do want to see that, but thank you for jumping in with the report. So just to mention, golf ball or greater than golf ball out of that storm that's hitting Lake St. Louis, O'Fallon would be included in that, and that's coming right at St. Peter's. But right now, the storm that was rotating over Festus, the rotation is now to the east of you. If you're in the basement in Festus, you can come up. But again, I hesitate to say go outside. You don't want to inspect if there is any damage. You don't want to inspect it. It's going to be raining, lightning, and hail as there's new storms coming right at you. Let's get an idea of where this storm is going next. And before I do that, I have to just see what we've got as far as speed goes on this. East at 30 miles per hour. So what I'm going to do is switch back over to get rid of the boxes, just focus on the radar. And that hook, well, it's less of a hook, it's more of an inflow notch here, but it's right in here. And it's now east of Festus. And if I move that to the east at about 30 miles per hour, there's 28, 29 miles per hour. There we go. So Mitchie now, you see Maystown I mentioned, that's about 11 minutes. And then Tipton, about 26 minutes. Redbud in about 38 minutes. So that's the rotation from the tornado warning coming out of Festus into Monroe County. It's radar indicated at this point. It has a lot of hail on it on the northern flank here. And then the rotation would be right here, probably just east of Crystal City at this point. So warning's back on. You're going to see the red box represents the tornado warning. But again, that rotation is kind of just east of Festus. So, and this is why I say you're not in the clear. See, these are the other storms that are coming your way. That one looks pretty heavy with hail, not rotating at this point that would produce a tornado
We just got a tornado warning for downtown St. Louis. Or sorry, severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning for downtown St. Louis.
Yeah, I see that now. And man, that just popped up. Look at that. Look at this, folks. Boom. Right over us. You want to pop in the 360 at Hilton Ballpark?
Getting that up now.
And we'll see what camera slot do you want. I want to see how heavy this rain
It's in camera slot 3.
Thank you.
This is looking out west over Market Street.
Yeah. Absolute downpour. Hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds is going to be the threat in downtown. And this thing just flared up like that. I'll show you on the radar this as it pretty much wasn't there a few minutes ago. This is why it takes a team. We've got eyes everywhere. I'm analyzing the tornado warning in Festus, Crystal City, moving towards Maystown, and all of a sudden Leah tells me, boom, we've got a warning over St. Louis. And that flared up really quickly. There's another cell to the south too. See how this is coming in? This may clip downtown as well. So this one, brand new warning, but it's a severe thunderstorm warning. Heavy rain, lots of hail, and lightning. And I'm checking in to see rotation. I don't see rotation on that yet. That's good news. I don't see real strong rotation on the storm that is in, well, it's now the rotation. If it's going to produce tornado, it's going to be on the southwest side. I don't see a real strong rotation signature there, but it's right around 70. And First Alert 4's Nathan Vickers is on the backside of the storm, and he's been seeing, actually he drove through this hail, but he's been seeing firsthand some of that hail. Nathan, are you with us right now? And how big the estimation of that hail is?
Yeah, Steve, you said it perfectly earlier. You got us behind the storm, so we were able to catch the tail end of it. And yeah, we're seeing some of this hail. I gathered some up. We're seeing this ping-pong-sized hail here scattered throughout the parking lot here in the Lake St. Louis area. We're just north of I-70, and that's what we're seeing coming down on us here. Now, it hit pretty hard for a very short burst, and then it kept moving east. In fact, if you look over here, to the east, just north of I-70, you can see where the skies are still very dark behind me. So it's like you said, we're behind it. It's moving away from us now. But that hail, like this, is scattered everywhere. So you can see some of it over on the grass over there. But for now, everything's calmed down here quite a bit in this Lake St. Louis area, just north of I-70.
Well, I'm glad you're safe, Nathan. Thank you. Appreciate your coverage. You know, he was in a good spot. If there was any damage, he wouldn't be in the damage, but he would be near it to going to be the ground truth, and that's what we aim to do. And so far, Leah, I'm going to check in with you. I haven't heard, except for the big hail, I haven't heard of, trees down, power lines down. I haven't heard of anything like that. Have you?
No, nothing like that. I've been checking around with the National Weather Service chat. I've been checking around with social media reports, and I haven't seen, just from what I've seen, we haven't had any confirmation. Everything has been radar indicated with all the storms that we've been tracking. And I just saw a picture of the storm that's down near Festus, and again, it's looking like the rotation within that storm. It is tornado warned, but the rotation is elevated, so it hasn't yet quite hit the ground. And it's when that rotation hits the ground that we have a tornado, and that is something that I have not seen. I am still seeing some pretty broad rotation on it, and there is certainly a lowering from that storm These are the winds coming into it. This is that little spin right here. It's just east of Festus, east of 55, and that is now moving into Illinois. Again, it's elevated rotation. It's above the surface. There is a lowering from the cloud base based on some photos that I've seen, but nothing that is actually hitting the ground. So I am tracking that very closely. And same thing with the St. Charles storm. I actually just got a report as well from St. Charles that this is in Weldon Spring, a National Weather Service employee reported 3-inch hail, which would be teacup size. That is roughly, yeah, that is
Big.
That is damaging hail. I hope their cars are okay.
You don't hear us say teacup size hail very often. The hail size is an actual chart that we all go by so we can kind of be all on the same page. All right, First Alert 4 at 4:30 starts now with more storm coverage. Let me give you the big picture here and show you what's going on. We're tracking 2 tornado warnings that are in red boxes. One has now moved just east of Festus. Another is riding down 70, a little weaker rotation, but boy, we got to monitor it. And then everything, including the red boxes, but all those yellow boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings where we could get damaging wind, and we are getting large hail, golf ball or even larger teacup sized hail. We do have a tornado watch that goes until 9 p.m. And I want to show you a little bigger picture before I dig back into the nitty-gritty details here. The cold front's just off to the west. So we have warnings on the storms that are out ahead of the front. They were actually sparked by outflow boundary from the morning storms, by the way. And then we actually have warnings along the front. So this is going to be several more hours of dealing with severe thunderstorms, maybe some more tornadoes. Tornado warnings, I should say, because we haven't confirmed any tornadoes, and several more hours of storm coverage, and we'll be here with you for it all along. If you end up having a warning where you have to run to the basement, or if you're out and about, the First Alert 4 weather app is where you can turn to for live streaming. It provides you location-based warnings too. I say that because really the first thing you have to do is have a way to get the warning and know what's going on. That's the first step to staying safe. The second step is having a plan. Let's dig in on the details here. 2 warnings. Let's start south down around Festus. I've noticed that inflow notch kind of strengthened as it heads towards Maystown. If you are in Festus, you're in the clear now as far as rotation. The rotation is right here to the east. Crystal
Steve,
City.
did you just talk about Maystown, Illinois?
Maystown. That's where it's headed right now.
Yeah, the National Weather Service just popped in to say that it's classic supercell signature, and they believe that a tornado is possible at any time.
Okay. All right. So the signature has strengthened. It would be right about here, headed towards Maystown. You got to be inside, away from windows, and down in the basement. If you don't have a basement, you want to be on the lowest level and then put as many walls between you and the outside. Usually that's an interior room without windows. So this is a little stronger signature. You heard Leah say supercell. That's a persistently rotating storm. They produce the largest hail, they produce strong winds, but of course that rotation can turn into a tornado as well. And we're hearing on our instant message chat with the Weather Service that is a good potential. So classic supercell. Let me switch back over to the radar and you'll actually kind of see that rotation. I'm going to highlight it for you, but you can see it in the rain. So remember, when a storm's rotating, the raindrops are going to go with the wind, right? So here's what's happening. Wind is going like this and flowing up this way, and then you've got what we call inflow, which is air flowing even out of the forward flank. This is the forward flank part of the storm, and flowing into this notch. So right around here is where you would end up with a tornado. I'm going to switch over to...
Also, look at the airport when you get a chance.
Will do.
In Cam 1.
Will do. I'm just checking the debris tracker, and I don't see anything real obvious there. And you said in BJC Cam 1?
Yes. You can see distinct lowering.
Yeah, right at the airport. Keep an eye on that, and we'll get back to that in a second. Maystown, real strong signature, and I'm going to get back to this on the BJC Skycam network. It's a separate storm. So just want to show you what I was focusing on radar is not this storm. That's the storm coming at the airport in St. Louis. And then as I switch back over to the radar, we'll zoom back in. Pretty strong signature for a strongly rotating storm and maybe a tornado hitting Maystown right now. As I was showing you the rotation of the winds whipping the raindrops around here and then the ingest here, this is right where there will be a tornado right over Maystown. And I don't see anything on that debris tracker. Well, now I do, but it's not quite a hole. See how it trails down this way? So what the debris tracker is trying to do, this bothers me a little bit. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. We'll see if the Weather Service might confirm that if it's a tornado debris signature. But what we're looking for are these little areas of blue that would show that the atmosphere has stuff in it that's all different shapes. And if you can match that up exactly, usually it's kind of more circular as opposed to this, but if you can match that up exactly where you think that tornado is in that rotation, usually that different sized objects in the air, usually they are pieces of roof tile or tree branches, and you know that there's been some debris lofted into the air. So again, right there, Maystown. Where is it going next? Let's show you. This is
Confirmed tornado near Maystown for the National Weather Service.
And is that confirmed by radar or confirmed by?
They are confirming
Spotters.
it by a debris signature on their radar.
That's what that is. So basically, when you hear confirmed, you have to figure out if this is radar confirmed or spotter. So while there's no eyes on the ground, the National Weather Service has the expertise, and we were just showing you the correlation, the debris tracker. Sorry, we technically call it correlation coefficient, but the debris tracker was showing that right over Maystown there could be debris in the air, and it must have been that little circle. So usually it doesn't extend down. So it's not going to be this or this. It's not going to, or what's happening is you've got stuff that's lofted into the air and then it's floating downstream and the radar's picking up on that. But it's right here that's confirming the tornado, and it's right on Maystown. So if you're in Maystown, you got to give it another about 5 minutes or so before you head up out of that safe spot in the basement, preferably. If not, it's that lowest level, as many walls in between you and the outside. We've got radar showing us such a strong signature and confirming a tornado debris signature that we know that there's debris lofted in the air there. And that is Maystown in Monroe County. This is the storm, by the way, that came across Festus, Crystal City. You're in the clear as far as the rotation goes. And I'm staying on that debris tracker just to see if that next scan comes up and it advances. And see if, because if it advances and it's still there, then you know that the tornado's still on the ground. I'll get back to it in a second. Let me just switch over to, oh man, the hook's a little more obvious now, right there. Okay, I said I'd track this, show you where it's going next. First thing I need to do is figure out the speed on this. And you see that black outline? That's just a visual cue to me when I'm out here that I can see that this has been confirmed. But of course it's radar confirmed that we know there's debris in the air. And we have this moving east at 30 miles an hour. So let's get a track of who's next with the rotation. And that's what I'm going to focus on here, because we have a confirmed, radar confirmed tornado moving east here. Not going to focus on this purple you see, which is the hail section of the storm. So tornado, St. Joe, Tipton, then Redbud. Redbud in about 22 minutes. And I'm going to get rid of the boxes, focus in on that storm, and do a little more. I call it the arrow tracker. It just kind of really gets you a little more specific. Let's see here, 30 miles an hour. So St. Joe, we're probably going to see this rotation either right on top of you or just south in about 5 minutes. Burkesville to Madonnaville, hail. You're getting hail, stay inside, away from windows. You're going to miss this rotation. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Tipton. Tipton is going to be in about 11 minutes, again, on or maybe just south of town. And then it's going to cross in Monroe County, Illinois, Route 3. That would be in 16 minutes. And there's Redbud, and I'm covering it up. 22 minutes. So 16 minutes crossing Illinois Route 3. And then here's Redbud in about 22 minutes. Confirmed by radar. And before I exit off of this storm, I want to check that debris tracker one more time. Yep, it's still there. That's even stronger signature. See that blue right there? What's happening is the radar is actually pinging off of debris in the air. So instead of seeing raindrops and hail, it's showing the maybe tree branches and tiles that are in the air. Let's switch back up to the north and check in on the storm that was headed towards. It's actually going to kind of miss the airport. Hold on, new tornado warning coming in.
This is a Jefferson County tornado warning?
New tornado warning. This is brand new, and it's southern Jefferson County. It's south of Festus. It's right over DeSoto, and it looks like there's two areas. It's the one just southeast of DeSoto. So you've got the Maystown, Illinois tornado right here, and then you've got another potential tornado right here. If you're in DeSoto, definitely be headed for the basement or that tornado safe room on the lowest level of your house apartment complex, lowest level, in as many walls between you and the outside. That would head towards Planton, and it would be south of Festus. Let me put the loop on that. Okay, so that's a brand new tornado warning that just came out southeast of, really just south of town. And if I zoom in on it a little bit, you'll see the hook. It's real obvious. There's two hooks. This one is not tornadic. That's not tornadic. This is the one that is, and it's just southeast of DeSoto, south of 110. All right, let's get back to that storm that you said we've got eyes on it from the airport, right?
It's not looking as good as it was just a moment ago, which is what we want to see. We want to see that weakening. So positive news there. The latest picture that I took. Yeah, it was much tighter before.
So air goes up into storms, and sometimes it forms what we call scud clouds, S-C-U-D, scud. Ragged-looking clouds here that can look scary, SLC we call them sometimes, scary-looking clouds, but that is not a tornado. There's definitely some scary-looking clouds, and it's definitely turbulent, but that is not rotating, and that's not going to produce a tornado. Now, that said, I still have to analyze that storm and get a better look. It still has a tornado warning on it. I'm going to switch over to the Doppler winds, and I don't see a real strong signature. If it would be right around 370, and even then I really think the signature has weakened quite a bit. I'm going to switch over to that terminal Doppler. This is a radar that's a shorter range that helps for wind shear at the airport, and when it's nearby, sometimes you can get a real closer high-res look. I'm seeing strong winds, but I'm not seeing any real strong rotation out of that. But again, going to monitor that from the BJC Skycam network and First Alert radar. Both tools plus our crews on the ground helping to give you the first alert on what's coming next. And right now it looks like this is a radar indicated tornado warning as opposed to a radar confirmed tornado warning in Maystown, Illinois, where radar is actually seeing a debris in the air. So we can use the radar to actually see the debris. And then we have rotation that's just east-southeast of DeSoto.
And check the debris tracker with that one.
Will do.
It looks, just within the last two scans, it does look like it's...
Yeah, I think that's more in the inflow notch because I think the rotation is a little more back here. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I'll zoom in a little bit closer. But even that first sign of the one over Maystown was a little deceiving and then became more obvious, but it's definitely something that's worth looking at. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's go. Yeah, so that is right about here, whereas the tornadoes, if there is a tornado, is right about here. And you've got the hook echo right here. That's going to cross 67, where 110 hits 67. So this is in between DeSoto and Platten. And if you're in DeSoto, the rotation is now east of you. So you're in the clear from this particular storm. But stay with us. There's more storms out there. And that's something I want to do is just give you that big picture view here without any kind of warnings on it, at least for now, and just see what we've got. Several of these storms lined up, especially some of these areas like Maystown. You're going to get hit by another storm. Festus, you're going to get hit by another storm. So some of these areas that have been in tornado warnings, that have been in several severe thunderstorm warnings, are going to get hit by multiple storms. And then, of course, this is the storm that we're watching. We'll have to watch that back edge to see if that rotation strengthens. It is a tornado warning right now, but the rotation has weakened quite a bit. Let's see. Weather Service is saying they do believe we saw debris on radar, so kind of confirming that tornado debris signature, but we haven't had a ground truth in Maystown, Illinois to confirm that. Now I'm going to switch over to the warnings. So again, big picture here. Just north of our coverage area too, notice that tornado warning, just skirting northern Macoupin County. But there's 3 tornado warnings, and this one in St. Louis has the weaker rotation, but almost 100,000 people in that warning. And then we've got the one that's just southeast of DeSoto. It's about 34,000 people. And then the one in Maystown we know is a tornado. That's in Monroe County. So we've got 10,000 that are impacted by that warning. And of course, some are impacted by an actual tornado on the ground. So let's zoom back down into that storm. Maystown, Illinois, I'd say, let me double check, but you're probably very close to being in the clear from this rotation. Before I double check that, I just want to point out that you've got this rotation coming. And if it goes a little north, so Maystown, radar confirmed tornado. And then we've got radar indicated, so we don't know if it is, right here. So this is what I mean by some areas get hit. Don't go outside to inspect damage. You gotta wait until things really settle down. Wait till the rain stops. We've got rain, lightning, hail, and of course, in some cases, maybe even another tornado. We'll zoom back down to Maystown and show you just to the east where it's headed, St. Joe. So I think Burkesville in the clear, that's just gonna be hail. St. Joe to Tipton, tornado coming your way. It is east of Maystown. So if you're in Maystown, come up from the basement. Maybe you turn down the TV and turn down the volume. I always say turn up the volume so that you can hear us down the basement, or maybe you were down in the basement and you were watching us on the live stream on the First Alert 4 weather app. You can come up and then just stay alert because we have another storm coming in from the southwest we're gonna have to monitor for you. And then from St. Joe to Tipton, you still need to be in your tornado safe shelter. Abby, tell me again what we've got. We've got crews in the field and cameras. In fact, let's take, you wanna take that camera for me? This is from 360 at Westport Plaza on the BJC Skycam network. As we look at the clouds in the distance there, this is from around Maryland Heights, and so far Maryland Heights, while avoiding the big storms, has seen kind of a view of the rotating storm out in St. Charles County, and to the north especially is where we've seen that. All right, thanks for that, Abby, appreciate it. All right, so we gave you kind of the big picture, zoomed in on a couple of storms. I also just want to remind you, tornado watch goes until 9 p.m. So we're gonna be on guard for a few more hours here, and we're gonna keep going. It takes a team. Meteorologist Leah Hill is here. She's doing a great job of keeping an eye on some of the storms that I'm not focused on so that we can bring you the first alert when new warnings come out. And I did mention that I noticed a new tornado warning that was just skirting north of our coverage area. And I gotta tell you, if you're in Verdon, you should be inside away from windows. That hook right there, it's coming your way. It's barely in our coverage area, but they may be relying on us. So I just wanna mention that. If you're in Palmyra and Macoupin County, you're safe from that rotation. Verdon, be inside away from windows, and that's gonna go into Montgomery County. I think is Raymond, Boys Dark is there. But, so that's gonna skirt right across Macoupin County line there. And that is radar indicated at this point too.
Could I give an update on that? There's some updates to that tornado warned storm that's just starting to leave St. Charles County. We're seeing this too, and the Weather Service is seeing it also, but it's showing significant weakening.
Yeah.
And it looks like downstream they're planning on just keeping a severe thunderstorm warning.
So this section of the storm right there, where there was some rotation worthy of the tornado warning, we've been telling you all along, we've been watching it with the BJC Skycam network, not seeing anything lowering anymore to the ground. There was earlier. And the rotation was weakening. Now it looks really ragged and not organized. And so that is going to move into Alton. We still want to monitor this. Sometimes you can get these storms that flare up in intensity and all of a sudden the rotation becomes strong again. New tornado warning coming in. Let's see where this one. I think they just issued one for this small section of Macoupin. We were just telling folks in Verdon to get to the basement anyway, so now you're officially part of that tornado warning. So just a heads up there, and you'll see what a small sliver it is, from Verdon to Boys Dark, and it may just go north of Boys Dark, if I'm saying that correctly. So Verdon, definitely stay inside away from windows, down in the basement. Tornado safe shelter, because this hook right here is coming right around you. And then just north of Macoupin County is where the rest of that storm is, in a different Weather Service office. So they kind of had to work together, collaborate to get this. And the bottom line is we're keeping those folks safe. Okay, so Verdon, stay in your safe shelter. Radar indicated tornado warning. I just caught, real quickly, I want to look at the radar data here. Nope, nothing real strong, but I just caught, a little hook here. These are the types of things we're dealing with today. The storms can easily rotate, and when that happens, sometimes you can see them on our cameras, and meteorologist Leah Hill has been tracking that with our BJC Skycam network.
Yeah, I've been updating the cameras a lot, and this view is coming from Edwardsville, and just a blanket of winds, a west to east wind coming across the screen. So even if there's not a tornado, or maybe there's not hail, there is still a wind risk with all of these storms. And with those severe thunderstorm warnings, we issue them when we see hail signatures. They're issued when the National Weather Service sees signatures also for wind. So likely winds as high as 60 miles per hour within the storm. And this is again in Edwardsville. And I can pull up a view here of where that storm is located. Here's Edwardsville on the screen. So it is looking off into that storm that's coming into the Spanish Lake area, and that's where the winds are coming from. Steve, we're gonna send it back to you, but I'll keep an eye on the storm near Edwardsville and also keep my eye on that storm near Spanish Lake that we just have a severe thunderstorm warning at.
And then we've got some pictures coming in of hail. This one from Kari in Lake St. Louis. Oof. Look at that. I mean, that's some big hail that made that hole right there. We've been telling you golf ball or larger. We even said teacup at one time. Look at this again. Same viewer here showing us another damage. I mean, that's 2 gigantic holes in that car. And then there's a nice almost orange size. You see how rough that hail is? It looks like it's made up of smaller pieces of hail. That's why. It's exactly what it is. Those smaller pieces of hail stick together when they're bobbing up and down in the storm. That's what makes hail much larger. Sometimes it gets smoothed over, but even on this one sent in by Steve in Wentzville, man, that is some huge hail. You can see how it looks like there's smaller, almost nickel-sized or quarter-sized hail on the outside. That's what the bumpiness is. But they all kind of stick together when they're going through the updrafts and downdrafts in the storm and bobbing up and down and growing bigger and bigger and sticking together. And that's how you end up with the huge hail. More of it in Wentzville. They got hit really hard by the hail side of it while we were tracking the rotation south of Wentzville. There's another big one, too, that's about 2.5-inch diameter. What would that be, Leah? 2.5?
2.5,
That's
that would
almost
be
3.
tennis ball size hail.
Wow, tennis ball size
Tennis
hail.
ball, yeah, if it's approaching 2.75, that's baseball size hail.
Wow, wow. So huge, huge hail that we've confirmed from Wentzville. South side of that storm is what we were tracking for rotation. That rotation looks much weaker. So even though you see a red box here, I don't have it circled because the Weather Service has said, hey, we see that it's weaker too. We're just going to make it a severe thunderstorm warning that's over Alton. If you're in Alton, if you're in Godfrey, yeah, we're going to monitor that really closely. If we see it flare up again, we'll be there for you. In the meantime, we have 2 tornado warnings down to the south. The one that was hitting southeast of DeSoto we'll zoom in on, and then the one near Maystown has actually weakened. That's good news for our friends around Tipton that storm was headed towards, but those are 2 more areas we need to investigate. One is, it's now south of Festus, so if you're in Festus, you may have sirens going off again. The first round is when the rotation went right over you. That turned into the tornado that hit Maystown, and now the rotation, let's see, it's weaker and it's well south of you. So you're in the hail and heavy rain in Festus and Crystal City. Down south into around Selma is where you're dealing with the threat for rotation and maybe a tornado. It is looking a little weaker right now, but we'll continue to monitor that. Let me just look at the loop here and see. You can see how it's been going through Platten, and then right about here is if there's a tornado, it would develop in this area crossing 55. By the way, that area as it moves east would be south of Maystown. So if you're in Maystown, you just got hit and you're wondering, are we going to get hit again? No, not from this one. You're going to get hit by rain, lightning, and hail. But this is actually going to move more towards Fultz. Again, not a real strong rotation. The strongest of all has actually weakened, but it is still a strong rotation headed towards Redbud. So if you're in Redbud, definitely still want to be inside, away from windows, and down to the basement. That rotation's just to the west of you. It's right in this area here, and it's moving east, I believe, at about 35 miles per hour. Let's put a track on that. I've got it at 30. We've got it getting to Illinois Route 3. That's in about 4 minutes, and then Redbud. I think last time I checked in with you, it was 20 minutes, so we cut that in half. Now we're down to 9 minutes. Be inside, away from windows, down in the basement in Redbud, even if it's a weaker signature. So earlier it was a confirmed tornado by radar. So that tag they put on the warning, that's been removed because it doesn't look like we're seeing that debris anymore. And I'll check in on the debris tracker, see what that looks like. I'll tell you, that still looks pretty strong to me. Like I said, if you're in Redbud, let me see where that lines up though with the actual rotation. That's pretty close. So if you're in Redbud, definitely in the basement, even though maybe we've seen a little weakening in the rotation, I think this thing can still be hitting the ground and producing some debris and some damage. And that right now is our strongest signature out there. The one southwest that was south of Festus, it started kind of near DeSoto. There it is right there. That's much weaker. That doesn't look as strong. This one coming at Redbud that did hit Maystown is our strongest tornadic signature, but we don't have any confirmation right now on that. We got pea-size hail in Troy occurring right now too. Let's see.
And that tornado warning that was moving over the what was that, the North County, Spanish Lake kind of area, Alton, that has been dropped, that tornado warning, so they're leaving it as a severe thunderstorm warning. And I do have a picture of that storm from one of our cameras in BJC1.
BJC1, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
you got
here,
it. Go ahead.
yeah, you can see this is the cloud, this is the base of the cloud, but it's very elevated, but that's just the outer layer of this, or the outer edge of the storm, and I'm not seeing any lowerings from this. I also want to provide some quick clarification because we've been talking about the hail sizes that are up to tennis ball size, even baseball size hail, and typically those would send off emergency alerts on your phone for a destructive thunderstorm. So that's when we see that baseball size hail. And that's when we see potentially 80-mile-per-hour winds, either or. But in this case, because we had that large hail and because your phones were already going off for the tornado warning, no additional emergency alert was sent to your phone for the destructive thunderstorm. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarification. We were just sending, or the National Weather Service are the ones who trigger the warning. They were just sending out one alert for the tornado warning, not for the destructive thunderstorm that we clearly had with that large hail. Again, that was up to baseball size. So I'll keep my eye on that.
That's interesting you mentioned that. One of the things we do here at First Alert 4 is when we know it's a higher end severe threat, we put these, we kind of differentiate the warnings with little different colors. You saw that earlier with a confirmed radar tornado, and it had the black box around the red box, so it kind of told us something's different about this. This looks different, right? Something's different. What that is exactly what Leah was talking about, but instead of baseball-sized hail, this is 80-mile-per-hour or faster winds. That's coming towards Reynolds County, so we got to keep an eye on that, Leah, too, down to the south. So that would be that, they call it destructive, because it's a higher-end severe thunderstorm warning, and they want to send that alert to phones to make sure that people get the heads up. And that's why we're going to stay on the air and continue to give the first alert on what's going on with a lot of storms. There's kind of three regions here, if you will, in the big picture. So one of them is really right along the cold front, and that's right here. All those storms are along the cold front. This was Verdon that had to be in your basement for a radar indicated tornado warning, and then these are severe thunderstorm warnings. So there's the cold front. We'll watch for more rotation. New storms can rotate and new tornado warnings may be issued. Out ahead of that, we had an outflow boundary from morning storms, so that rain cool there, it can act like a cold front, kind of. It can trigger storms and enhance rotation. That's what happened, and that's why we're getting these storms that are rotating and producing large hail. Rotating storms don't always produce tornadoes, but they can also produce the large hail like what we saw out around Wentzville from the baseball-sized hail. So this cluster here, there's a third one, and that's where I mentioned that destructive severe thunderstorm warning that would be coming towards Reynolds County. And of course, some of this, as this fills in and comes at St. Louis, could be kind of another round that hits St. Louis. Let's zoom in a little bit more on the St. Louis metro here, because we had some storms kind of flare up really quickly. And I haven't mentioned some of these severe thunderstorm warnings, but the cores are hitting like Alton right now. Looks like Edwardsville might just be clipped by that. You want to put the SIUE BJC Skycam maybe in BJC2, and I can take a peek at that. And just let me know when that's up. And was that Alton you were looking at, by the way, earlier with the lower? With the...
That was the North County Spanish Lake.
Good, okay.
Edwardsville's up.
Takes a team. Leah's on it. I'll tell you. Thank you very much. And so this is just rain. That's not a tornado, but this is the BJC Skycam network from Edwardsville. But you see the dark clouds, the downpour, and potential for damaging winds and large hail. That's it. We're not seeing rotation out of that storm. So that's good news. You're just seeing yellow boxes. If I'm not mentioning your town and you're hearing thunder and you're hearing heavy rain, be inside and away from windows. That's all you need. And be thankful that we're not talking about your town like we have been about Maystown, where likely a tornado did hit the ground, confirmed by the debris tracker on radar. So we have a lot of storms, heavy rain, potential for damage from winds. But right now, as far as tornadoes go, the two spots we're monitoring are just southeast of DeSoto here, and another one that's now east of Maystown, a third one near Verdon as well. So First Alert 4.
This is a new tornado warning coming out.
And it's an extension. It's that Maystown. It still looks strong, doesn't it?
And it's also saying hail up to 2 inches, and I'm looking to see radar indicated rotation.
All right. Well, First Alert 4 at 5 o'clock is starting now, and we're going to give you the big picture and then dig into the details. on what is a new tornado warning, but the same storm that we've been tracking all along for you. So big picture, yellow boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings, red boxes are tornado warnings. Verdon and to northern Macoupin and northern Montgomery County, extreme northern. There's a little hook just cruising across there. Then we have a bunch of storms with the potential for hail and damaging winds that largely are moving through the metro east as they've kind of cleared downtown. Well, we have more that are coming at Columbia, Illinois, and then we have these red boxes. And before we lose sight of it, potential for some real strong winds here that come into Reynolds County. Leah will let us know if we get any updates on that. So
I'm actually just putting a track on it. If
Okay.
we want to take that, just to give an idea of when it's going to be. It's moving at about 50 miles per hour, that storm, so it's not going to be in
timing-wise, it's probably
about an hour into
We
Reynolds
got some
County.
time in Reynolds
45
County.
minutes if we just want to be on the conservative side.
Okay. Keep an eye on that. Thank you very much. That's meteorologist Leah Hill. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. And First Alert 4 at 5 has begun. We continue with our storm coverage here as we have a weaker rotation, but still a signature. See that hook right there? That is the tornado warning that has come through south of Festus. I'm going to stop the radar there and take a look at the Doppler winds, get a better idea of the rotation signature.
And it covers two areas of rotation, this new warning near Redbud. It covers circulation that's near Fultz, Illinois,
Yeah.
and Redbud, Illinois.
I see what they did there. Okay, so there's two areas with a potential tornado. This one's a little stronger. It's still coming at Redbud. We've been talking about Redbud for about 25 minutes already. And then here's the second one. So again, this is a little weaker on the back end there. We'll continue to monitor it, still showing some rotation, but that is a hook echo right there. And so you've got air coming out of the storm and then flowing in with warm air coming into the storm. The intersection of those two, that's where we're going to get that rotation potential tornado. Radar indicated, so we don't know if this is on the ground. And again, from what I've seen, the signature is not the strongest, but certainly warrants the tornado warning. So that's included in this. Maystown got hit by a tornado where we actually saw debris, and that is now pretty strong and still headed towards Redbud. I'm going to switch over to the debris tracker, and I don't see, that's good news, I don't see any obvious signature there. Let me loop this, and I'm going to slow things down for you. So what debris tracker's doing for me is it's giving me an idea of radar pinging off of stuff in the air that is of different sizes. And usually if you can match that up with where you think the strong rotation is, and you see that, that's a tornado debris signature. So it develops right about Maystown. It's going to be the blue. You know what? I'm going to need to just slow this down. And this is earlier. I'm going back in time. That's right about where we saw it. We started talking about it right there. And especially this portion of it. It's a little inside baseball. It's a little behind the scenes. It's a little tricky sometimes to spot. And that was easy. That was more obvious. That's a tornado debris signature. And so that was a confirmed tornado. Not that we had eyes on the ground, but the radar signature is so strong, we're seeing debris in the air. There it is, right there, as it moves to the east. And then it becomes a little more diffuse and starts to fall apart as it heads towards Redbud. Let's see what the signature looks like on radar. If there is a tornado, it's just on the north side or maybe right over Redbud right now. And that's no longer radar confirmed. But it is radar indicated.
Can I give an update about that thunderstorm warning in Madison County?
Please, please.
Just got a report that they are seeing hail sizes from golf ball size hail near 270 and 157. So I have it pulled up right here. I've circled that area. Let me clear out part of this. There you go. So right here. So that's approaching Glen Carbon. This storm right here, that's 2-inch size hail, which would put it at hen egg size, so roughly that big. So that's going to be approaching Glen Carbon. So if you have any cars there, I wouldn't move them. I would just stay inside. But it is possible we could be seeing some hail damage on vehicles there, and it's going right over 157, as well as 255. So and 270. So a couple of major roadways that we're seeing there that could get hit hard with some hail for any cars that are in the driveways and the parking lots, or hopefully nobody's out on the road in this right now.
That's actually
Gain damage as
exactly
well.
where the tragic Amazon tornado was in Edwardsville from December 10th of 2021. It is not tornadic, so I want to be clear about that. What Leah was pointing out is really large hail. We also have our crews spread out across the area. This is in House Springs. This is First Alert 4 Silverado. And we're seeing a lot of lightning. That's the other thing I keep telling them. If you get hit, maybe you get some hail, you want to go out and inspect any damage, see if there's any damage to the roof, the siding, cars. You got to be really careful. There's going to be lightning, heavy rain, and potentially more hail. And again, this is that hail signature right around the Edwardsville area. And I know that's industrial where that is, but actually it lifted. Thankfully, the tornado from 2010 lifted as it moved into more residential areas. So as this moves kind of east, it's moving into a little more residential area with large hail, and that's following 270. It's now just east of 255. It's about to cross 157. And again, no signs at all of strong rotation or anything like that. So this is just a hail storm. In fact, if I switch on the hail tracker, I think it gives you a better visual. There's a lot of it, but there's a lot of cores that can produce some real damaging hail, and that's the one that we had some confirmation of. How big did you say that was? Over 2 inch?
2 inches.
Wow.
Yeah, they've put the considerable tag on it.
Okay. So that is the severe thunderstorm warnings in the Metro East. See that tail right there? I'll keep an eye on that, see if we get any kind of rotation. I'm not seeing anything right now out of it, but there's no tornado warning. But that's kind of the vestiges of that one that was rotating as it came through Warren County, Wentzville, and even into northern St. Louis County. We've got our cameras out there from the BJC Skycam network up in Alton. Beautiful Clark Bridge, but not beautiful sky out there as we continue to see the dark skies. Now the good news is that storm I was just pointing out where was rotating, that's actually southeast, so it would be to our backs from this view, but southeast of Alton. So if you're in Alton, while you're in a severe thunderstorm warning right now, the strongest part of the storm is now east of you. Godfrey, east of you, you're in the clear. We'll continue to monitor. I don't see anything coming in. This is what we're talking about. There's that storm. There's Alton, Godfrey in the clear. St. Charles, O'Fallon, some folks in Wentzville that sent us pictures of the huge hail in the clear right now. But as we zoom out, notice the front hasn't passed through yet. And there's still some storms out there. See this? And that's a little hook that's trying to develop.
I've been watching that one closely. It's stayed pretty steady for the last couple minutes, but I do have eyes on it. I have a report out of Maystown, and the fire department was sent there and to look for any possible tornado damage, and they have not found anything as of yet, which is good news.
So that's good. And keep in mind this smaller rural town, so maybe the damage isn't in the town proper, but perhaps in a forest, we hope, that no one's anywhere near, and there's no harm done to anyone. But that's a good start. I mean, that's a really good start because we know that there was debris flying in the air, and we hope indeed it was maybe some trees and as opposed to roofs, and that no one's hurt. And that's out of the Maystown, Illinois tornado, which is now pretty much hitting or east of Redbud. So Maystown is right about here. You're getting hit with heavy rain and hail. But the second tornado warning, there's kind of 2 circulations in one warning, is south of you. This is a little stronger, right over Redbud. I want to look at the Doppler winds and see how that has changed. So our friends in Redbud know what's going on, because you should be in your tornado safe place. That's the basement. If it's not, it's the lowest level with as many walls between you and the outside. An interior room usually does the trick, and it is east now, northeast. So if there's a tornado, it's weaker rotation, but if there's a tornado, it would be right here, east, northeast of Redbud. And you see Route 3 here. That goes up towards Waterloo. We have crews all over because we want to bring you the ground truth to when damage does happen. Thankfully, we haven't had anything other than big hail. But First Alert 4's Alexis Zotos is out in Waterloo on Route 3. Can she hear me? Can she tell me what she's seeing?
I can hear you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Alexis. Go ahead.
So, right now we are at Market Street and rain happening. We're actually about to pull over and pause because this is right where you're sort of talking about. if we keep going down Route 3, we're going to hit Redbud. So we want to sort of pull over,
Yep.
make sure that we're safe as we continue to monitor this area. We were on our way to Maystown, heading towards some of this storm area.
Yeah, heading towards that storm damage. She may not know it, but it's breaking up. Why is it breaking up? Probably because gigantic storms are disrupting cell service. But a huge thank you to Alexis. So what she's doing is heading down to inspect damage in Maystown. And what she did here in Waterloo, this is why our crews have radar. It's why they can hear me in their car and they make smart decisions. But they're going to stop because they don't want to drive into this. And that's just rain and hail, but we don't want them in that. The rotation portion of these storms is over Fultz and now east of Redbud right there. But they're going to take a pause, and if you can still hear me, Alexis, I did a timing on this. The back edge of the heaviest rain is going to be east of Route 3, just south of Waterloo, in about 15 minutes. So give it about 10, 12 minutes, and then I think you can head south, and you'll be able to see that heavy rain has lifted. You're making a smart decision, and first things first, everybody stays safe. As far as rotation goes on this storm and the tornado warning, it's two areas right here. One is east of Redbud, right here, and then the other is a little weaker signature over Fultz. This is southern Monroe County as we get into Randolph County here. See Randolph kind of comes up in this little like square here, a little panhandle, if you will, and Redbud's right there. So Redbud in the clear as far as this initial stronger rotation, but I would stay down in your tornado safe shelter because you've got this weaker signature, but it's a hook echo and it's rotating and that's coming at you. So, I mean, just play it safe rather than sorry and stay in the basement or stay in that tornado safe shelter. In fact, let me give you an idea timing wise for our friends down there, what we're talking about. I'd say in Redbud, you're gonna have to be down in the basement another 25 minutes. So give it some time for this second area of rotation to come through. When I talk about the basement, not everyone has a TV in their basement, but maybe you've got a tablet, maybe you've got a phone, I hope you do, and you can get the First Alert 4 weather app and stream us live. Look, I'm not saying that just to promote our app. I'm saying it because we want to help you. That's what we do. First Alert, we live it, we breathe it, we're here to help you, and we want you to have the tools to do that. The app will warn you and let you know when something's happening, and then when we're here on the air, nonstop for, it's been 2 hours, and I'll keep going as long as I need to, we want you to be able to see that so you're not so anxious and you know what's going on and when you're maybe actually in danger or maybe when you're in the all clear. And I will let you know when you're in the all clear, but Redbud, you are not. Even though the first rotation has passed to the east, the second rotation is coming at you, and it's a weaker rotation, but play it safe rather than sorry. That is our only tornado warning. I think the one up north, I'm going to check in on that. That went through Verdon. If you're in Verdon, storm's gone, you're in the clear. Rotation is now, yep, it's outside. So even though you see a little red box here in northern Montgomery County, the rotation is right here outside of our coverage area. So anyone along 55 there in extreme northern Montgomery County, in the clear. Now, when I say in the clear, man, there are still some strong storms out there. And we were telling you yesterday, the ingredients may come together, and we see the ingredients for higher end severe storms. Not only strong tornadoes, large hail, we've seen the large hail, but also strong winds. And you see these black boxes down here? It's actually a red box with a black outline. That's a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. Leah, do you want to take over kind of analyzing that? And
yeah, I'm working on putting a track of it. One thing I'm noticing, which is a trend that we do not want to see, is that the particular storm that's just now approaching, this is Reynolds County, and I've taken the warning off just so we can get a better idea of it, but it's bowing out, and when we see that signature, that's an indicator of strong winds. And unfortunately, with those stronger winds rushing out from the storm, it is speeding up. So it's going faster. About 10 minutes ago, it was going at 50 miles per hour, which is already extremely fast. But now it's traveling at about 55 miles per hour. So likely in Reynolds within the next roughly 30 minutes, 32 minutes in Bunker, Ellington, and about 42 minutes. You still have a little bit of time before this is on your doorstep, but I haven't seen any signs of it weakening. And so we can expect that even as it approaches your area, roughly 70 mile per hour winds. Those are reports, 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. Those are the winds that are tied to this particular warning, which I can pop up right here. And that's why we have it circled, or that's why it's marked with the black boxes, just to distinguish that this is a bit of an upgrade from your base thunderstorm warning. So your base thunderstorm warning, and that is the yellow boxes. That is where where they're issued for 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. And then the black box that you see here, that is for an upgraded, destructive, severe thunderstorm warning. Steve, I'll send it back to you while I continue to analyze some new warnings potentially that look to be coming in.
Jump in if you need to. If they're extremely important, please let me know. Thank you, meteorologist Leah Hill. I mean, look at this. You can't do this by yourself. It takes a team. And it's not just the meteorologists. We have crews in the field to help confirm. And we have some hardworking folks in the back who are punching us up and showing us some pictures as well. I want to show you pictures in a second, but before we do, I've slowed down the radar and I've looped it for about the past 4 hours. You'll see the clock there. And so what I want to do is just show you one of the really monster storms when we first started on the air, developed some rotation right there. There's the hook, but it also had hail. Goes through Wentzville, goes through O'Fallon, hits Alton. Alton is now east of you as it goes towards Edwardsville and into Madison County. Leah had mentioned that it was now east of 255. And we've seen a lot of pictures of some of that hail. And we got a lot of pictures from viewers coming in. So let's show you what we've got that has hit the bi-state area for today as far as some of those storm pictures. As far as damage goes, I haven't heard of tornado damage, but boy, hail damage. Look at that. We've seen some where it's holes punched in. This one, the whole back window is out. Caddy in Reckitt, thank you for that. Appreciate you sending us in to show us, I mean, just how destructive some of this hail. Look, sometimes we get hail and it covers the ground and it's really pea-sized and it's not doing damage. And then some days we get this. Hail that's destroying windshields. There's bound to be some houses with punctured holes in the siding, maybe in the roof. Look at this, big welt right there in the car windshield, Charlotte and O'Fallon. We're getting a lot of those hail from O'Fallon, Wentzville, St. Peters. Wow, look at St. Peters. Which one is the egg? That's what I want to know. It's the smooth one on the bottom left. But I mean, and by the way, you see the other two in the kind of middle of the picture, they look a little bumpy. And that's because large hail is a conglomeration of smaller pieces of hail that tend to stick together. A little dampness on the outside of the hail. And so what happens is as the hail kind of bumps into each other, they tend to stick together. And some of these storms that produce the large hail, they've been rotating, and you really can see the rotation and the swirl in that picture there from Charlotte in O'Fallon. And we've been seeing a lot of storms swirling today. So let's see what's going on with the latest right now. As far as the swirling storms, there's really only one, and it's 2 areas of rotation down here to the southeast. I do want to point out, Leah and I have been watching this. This is a little hook that's coming into northern Warren County, and there's more storms off to the west. And whether it's damaging winds or if they show and exhibit any signs of rotation or signs of really strong hail, we want to make sure that we give you that first alert. So I'll start with the storms that are rotating, get more analysis on that, because there's some people, by the way, that are sitting in the basement wondering, can I leave, Steve? All clear? Redbud? No, not yet. In Fultz, I believe so. Let me zoom in. Yeah, Fultz is in the clear. This is the hook echo, the rotation. There's Fultz. Redbud got hit by one circulation, which was stronger. It came through Maystown earlier and likely did some damage that we haven't confirmed yet, but we confirmed it by radar. And then that rotation has passed you to the east. I'm going to inspect that in a second. But if you're in Redbud, how much longer? I would give it it's about 11 minutes. 11 more minutes. Just be in that tornado safe shelter, and then this thing will pass. If you're in Ruma, this is going to stay north of you. If you're in Fultz, you're in the clear. If you're in Baldwin, Illinois, this rotation, again, weaker. It's not a real strong signature, but it's coming your way, about 20 minutes. And then if you're in Marissa, maybe on the south side, about 35 minutes. If you're in Sparta, we'll see if this sinks south, but most likely as that moves to the east, it probably passes to your north towards Coulterville, Illinois. So Sparta might see that rotation to the north. I'm focusing on rotation, but I can tell you, this section of the storm is a beast, and it's probably producing some very large hail, at least quarter size, maybe up to golf ball. And so that's going through New Athens, Marissa, eventually St. Laborie. But I'm focused right now on that rotation. Speaking of rotation, the other area of rotation that has now moved east of, and by the way, that rotation that's coming in, the second one that comes into Redbud, it is weak. As I check the Doppler winds and see that, it is not very strong. This one is not real strong, but it's stronger, and it's headed towards Marissa. Let me see if It's kind of wound up. If there's a tornado, it would be buried in rain right here, just to the west of Marissa. It's north of Baldwin. Let me turn on the warnings. And the fact that this hasn't been extended tells me that maybe the Weather Service sees this rotation and just doesn't see it warranting an extension, or at least they might be thinking about it right now. So let's give them a couple minutes and see if that red box extends. But if it does, it would be into Marissa very shortly. And if you're in Marissa, just be playing it safe. You're in that tornado safe shelter. You're down in the basement. You're maybe on the lowest level if you don't have a basement, putting yourself in an interior room, no windows. Baldwin, this is going to stay north of you. It's harder to see the hook here because it's kind of buried in some rain. But if I get rid of the box, and if you just follow like the orange and the red colors, you know, you can kind of see it right there. And that's where it is. And then of course you have this rain that's filling in. So you would have like a curtain, a shroud of rain that's going around it. And then you would potentially have a tornado right there. Weaker signature, but still keeping even weaker there, keeping the tornado warning at least alive for another couple minutes, and we'll see if they extend it again. Right now, that red box has not been extended. So if you're in Washington County, if you're in Oakville, Nashville, I know you're paying attention to this. We'll continue to follow it. Right now, those areas I mentioned in Washington County, you still need to be inside and away from windows. I mean, 60-mile-an-hour winds, huge hail, that's the potential. And some of those towns I mentioned, you have time to get your cars indoors or carports or something like that. But those are pretty far away from some of that heavy hail that's hitting New Athens and Marissa right now.
Can I get an update on that new severe thunderstorm warning?
Yeah,
this is the one.
Is that the one that's about to hit Arnold?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I've just been tracking that one and reading the latest reports out of it. Up to 60-mile-per-hour winds, and what I'm also seeing with it is 1-inch hail. But this warning, over 250 or nearly 250,000 people are included in this, and that includes parts of Jefferson County, Monroe County, St. Clair, St. Louis City, and it looks like it's just going to skirt kind of the southeast edge. Or the south edge of St. Louis City, so I can zoom in a bit closer just so you can get an idea. Wrong button. There we go. Of where that's going to hit. But that would be like the Dutchtown area, the St. Louis Hills, Afton, Melville, Oakville. All those areas need to be watchful, and it's kind of got a bit of a northeast track, which I want to put on there for you, just so you know when you can plan. I will need to update the time. It is about 15 minutes into Melville, St. George into about 17 minutes, 20 minutes into Lee May, and Dupo into about 22 minutes. So this is just severe thunderstorm warned and 1-inch hail. So still could cause some dings on your car, but we haven't seen that destructive hail. It does sound like we have the Silverado now, who's actually in Hillsborough. Let's see if they're seeing anything.
Yeah, dark skies out there. It's just an example of our crews that are out in the field. And remember, there was rotation right over Hillsborough. We haven't heard of any damage, but our crews are making calls. And First Alert 4's Shoshana Stahl's in the Silverado. Have you heard anything, any damage out there, Shoshana?
Steve, so we're actually on our way. We were in Eureka earlier on 44. Now we're on 21. So we're heading towards Hillsborough. Right now, what we saw before was just some heavy rain that was really coming down on the windshield while we were driving. We saw some lightning.
Yeah.
Right now, things have cleared up a little bit, but we are still just about 10 minutes away from getting to the DeSoto area. So we're trying to see what we can actually find out when we get there exactly on any wind damage or any just severe rain damage. So right now, we're just kind of seeing what we see on the roads right now as we get off of the highway right now and get more towards 21. So we're going to keep you updated with what we see, but Steve, this is what we're at right now. It's clearer than it was just a few minutes ago.
Appreciate the work you're doing. Stay safe. We talked about using the radar today. I gave Shoshana a little tutorial on it, and she's in a safe spot and just fine. That new severe thunderstorm warning Leah mentioned hitting Arnold, we have a BJC Skycam network down in South County, Barnes-Jewish South County. So what you're seeing is 55, and I just caught my eye. See that right there? I'm going to move the camera, so hang in there with me. This is, yeah, look at that. This is a rain and it may be a hail shaft, actually. So what you're seeing is the very leading edge of an absolute tremendous downpour. It is the severe warned storm. And so it's not rotating. We don't see any rotation or tornado threat with this right now. This is heavy rain that's going to hit the ground, and whoosh, it's going to have strong winds. probably going to have some hail in that rain shaft there too. So that's the Barnes Jewish Siteman in South County, BJC Skycam Network, and I mentioned it might have some hail. We've seen a lot of hail. Another one of our crews is out in O'Fallon, Nathan Vickers from First Alert 4. He's been seeing some huge hail from that storm that hit Wentzville, O'Fallon. What do you got now, Nathan?
Well, we just pulled up to the O'Fallon garage here at Main Street and Elm in O'Fallon, and look at what the hail did to some of these cars. I mean, you've got broken glass everywhere. We're trying to stay back from it a little bit just to be careful. But if you look down here, you can see where it dinged up the cars too. There's a lot of dents. There's people over here. They've been actually working on this. They're tarping up over their cars to avoid further damage from whatever rain or whatever else we get tonight. This gentleman's been working on his car over here as well. There's also damage to the shop itself, both this building over here, but this building's a little closer, so we're gonna walk over here actually. There's broken windows on the side of the O'Fallon garage here. We're also hearing that there's damage to the St. Charles Emergency Center down the road. Some police vehicles or emergency vehicles possibly damaged, but we're certainly seeing a lot of that here in downtown O'Fallon. Here's the door to the garage, and you can see where windows are broken out on there. The other building also has some similar damage out here. People say it just kind of came out of nowhere. There's hail on the ground still. It's melted down quite a bit. The people said when it hit, it was roughly softball size in places. And in fact, they sent me some pictures of it that we'll try to send in to you later. But that's what we're seeing right now in O'Fallon. We're going to keep looking for damage around here and report back to you later.
Appreciate it, and I'm glad you're in dry weather now. Nathan had to drive through some rain and hail to stay away from the rotation, so they did have to drive through some hail, but he's in a better spot now, in a safe spot for sure. We still have plenty of warnings out there. The bulk of the severe thunderstorm warnings out here in the Metro East are the threat for damaging wind and some large hail.
Wow, that's a
You hear Nathan, he's out there, they're probably looking at the damage and going, oh wow, because it's incredible. There's some of this, sometimes you get hail and it's a little bit of damage. This is big monster hail and it's created some significant damage. The one thing I wanted to do when I looked at these warnings here was just check the Doppler winds to see if there's any rotation. And I don't spot anything obvious right away, so that's good news. And it's also kind of merging into more of just a heavy rain threat. The one thing I'll keep an eye on is the southern flanks. Sometimes you can get little rotations like what's developing there, or maybe what's developing here and crossing towards north of Centralia. So I'll still keep an eye on those storms, see if any rotation develops and any kind of new tornado warnings come out. Otherwise, the only tornado warning in our coverage area is down to the southeast here, and they have not extended for the initial tornado warning, but it may, because you see that near Marissa, that has spiked. If you're Marissa, stay in the basement. You've still got a little stronger signature, and we may end up seeing that tornado warning extended. But stay in the basement right now if you are in Marissa. If you're in Redbud, you're finally in the clear, folks. Sorry, guys. Took a while because you had 2 areas of circulation come through. So here's the bottom line. We have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings that we're going to continue to track. You see them all here with the yellow boxes. We'll continue to track that warning. We'll see if that warning gets extended in Marissa. And then, of course, we're tracking the threat for some higher end winds coming in towards Reynolds County. The tornado watch, which means wind, hail, and tornadoes, goes until 9 p.m. So we're going to be here in the First Alert Weather Center. We're going to be streaming live on our app and on the website. So we'll continue the play-by-play coverage. We'll jump in on First Alert 4 as needed. Hope you have a safe afternoon and evening.
If you need Social Security disability benefits, go to CassandCaro.com on your phone, tablet, or computer and fill out this short form to begin the process. And there is never a fee unless we win your case. Go to CassandCaro.com right now.
This is Ford Truck Month with amazing offers across an amazing lineup of Ford trucks. Make way for the event that only comes around once a year, featuring the new 2024 Ford F-150 and Super Duty, the North American Truck of the Year. Get ready and get to Ford Truck Month. Get 1.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on F-150 plus a 5-year 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Only at your quality Ford dealers.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Dale, what's going on, man?
I'm remodeling and I'm looking for a new tankless water heater.
You know, Menards always has Richmond water heaters in stock. I'm headed that way now. You want to go?
You read my mind. Let's do it. Man, you ever take off that fire suit?
I sleep in this thing.
All right. Man, these stores are incredible. I love having them as a partner.
Me too. For the best tankless options, come to Menards for Richmond water heaters.
And all your home improvement projects.
Save big money at Menards.
When you call Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, your very own army springs into action immediately to fight to get you the best result.
Live from First Alert 4, this is a breaking weather alert.
New tornado warning. That's why we're back. And we've been covering it on the live stream. We told you before we bowed out that if you're in Marissa, stay in the basement. That's exactly it. That's the storm. So this new red box here is for right around Marissa and extends into Washington County. It's going to be a lot of folks that hear sirens going off in maybe even Oakville, Nashville, Illinois. Storm's not to you yet. The rotation is hitting Marissa right now and moving off to the east at, let me get a track on the timing. This warning just came out and speeds have changed a little bit, anywhere from 30 to as much as 45. And this one's faster. This one's 45, so I'm glad I checked that out. Okay, so at 45 miles per hour, the rotation here coming out of Marissa, where you should be in your basement, in your safe shelter, at about 45, that would put it in Oakdale in about 15 minutes. So we're coming into Washington County here, Pilot Knob in about 21 minutes, and 25 minutes into Nashville, Illinois. So you see Nashville right there. There's Oakdale. Oakdale will be more in line to get hit by the rotation as long as it goes more east. If that rotation lifts a little bit, that could hit Nashville. Washington County Lake is just south of Nashville. That would actually be in line to possibly get hit by that rotation too. This is rotation that has strengthened pretty rapidly. It looked like it was weakening, and then all of a sudden it wasn't, and all of a sudden it was strengthening, and it's right in. I'm going to slow this down as I loop it for you, so I can actually get a good idea of the trajectory. Yeah, it weakened. It's cycling is what it's doing. It weakened and then strengthened right there. That's where the potential tornado is, southeast of New Athens. If I zoom in, you'll see that probably on or east of Marissa, just north of Marissa. So if you're in Marissa, you still want to be in your tornado safe shelter, but it's the northeast side of town where that potential tornado would be. And that would be moving towards, I mentioned Oakdale. You see it right there's Oakdale. There's Plum Hill. You're going to be more in line to probably get hit by some of that heavy rain and hail and see that rotation stay just to the south. And hey, Scott, one thing we could do too is if they could just get in my ear and let me know what we want to do, that would be great. So if this moves to the east at about 45, I got it into Oakdale, 23 minutes. If you're in Nashville, I mentioned how it may just be south or more like Washington County Lake. So we've got this timed out more like the Washington County Lake. In about 37 minutes. Been on for a few hours here, folks. Sorry about that. So that's kind of crossing 127, maybe just south of town, in about 35, 40 minutes. So you've got some time to watch this, and whether it be here, Channel 4, or on the First Alert 4 weather app or .com, you can see that live stream as we continue to track that. But that really did flare up. And you can kind of see in the loop there. But what I'm looking for is that the bright green and the bright reds. You see how they kind of weren't there and all of a sudden they were? So what's happening here is the Doppler winds is basically showing me raindrops that are going green towards the radar and red away. And if they're brighter, they're faster. Well, this isn't really what's happening. It's not doing that. It's actually spinning. But we can interpret the radar signature and know that that is a strong spin. And as you look at the loop, you see how it looks like there wasn't anything. Is it kind of just hit Redbud, fell apart, and then boom, strengthened right over Marissa. So again, in Marissa, still in your tornado safe shelter down in the basement. If you're in St. Libory, this is south of town, and this is going to miss St. Libory proper. We will switch over to the warnings here. And while I do that, do you mind keeping an eye on that storm that's hitting Arnold? I just want to know if we're getting any huge hail reports out of that. And then we've also got that storm with the higher end winds coming into Reynolds County. I'm talking to meteorologist Leah Hill. She's monitoring a lot for us because it takes a team.
Could I give an update to that storm that's just east of Edwardsville?
Yes, please.
So I've been watching that one. I've also been watching the basically the chat service that we have with the National Weather Service. And here's that storm that just went through Edwardsville. And here's 55. And we just saw a report. This was made by some emergency managers out in Madison County. But along 55 near Staunton, they have reports that multiple vehicles have broken windows, so damage to those vehicles. And you can see right here, I can circle it, is that hail core. So I imagine that damage is caused by large hail. And there's, I'll have to look and kind of dig through a little bit to see how large the hail sizes are, but likely if they're seeing damage to vehicles along 55 where that hail core just went over, they're probably seeing hail sizes around the 2-inch range, which would be hen egg size hail. So I'll continue to watch that one. And then of course the other storm that we have been following very closely was that destructive thunderstorm that's just on the border now of Reynolds County. So the black box means that it's a destructive thunderstorm, and that's where they saw wind speeds of 70 to 80 miles per hour. But you'll notice that the warning that has been extended into Reynolds County and Iron County does not have that black box. So it's possible, and it's looking like, based on the latest radar scans, and I can take the warnings off, is that it's weakened ever so slightly. Now, we're still going to be seeing winds out of this around 60 miles per hour, and that is still enough to do damage, but it's not as strong as it was when it just backed off a little bit. The wind speeds look to have come down ever so slightly. By no means are you in the clear from destructive winds, because 60-mile-per-hour winds can still cause some damage, but at least we won't have that considerable or destructive damage from 70 to 80-mile-per-hour winds. But I'm going to continue to watch this one because I am seeing some bowing segments. I haven't seen any rotation. Sometimes we get these little notches when you see those lines. That is something that I'm not seeing with it. I can pop up the velocities here.
Yeah, I haven't
a little
seen that
far
either.
away, but I haven't noticed anything like that. So that's what I'm going to continue to track here over the next couple minutes.
Great, thank you. So what I was doing is having Leah kind of monitor some of the other storms outside the area. That's a really heavy one, severe thunderstorm warning coming through Arnold. Let me double check too on our BJC Skycam network. This is 55, so this is an area that's been hit by that storm. That's Barnes-Jewish Siteman. And in South County, that's I-55 near Butler Hill. I mean, the trail, I mean, this is just an absolute dumping of water. I mean, this is the type of heavy downpour that can create hydroplaning situation if you're driving in it. So where is that now? And then we'll get back to tracking that tornado warning. But a heavy rain in Afton, Melville, Fenton, and coming into St. Louis Hills and downtown. Speaking of downtown, we've already been hammered once, but we've got more coming our way. And I've got that view on the BJC Skycam network where, here you go. You know, it looks like, hey, things have calmed down. This is going to be sheets of rain, and you probably won't even be able to see, the courts buildings. There's some lightning too when the heavy rain starts, and that's coming our way. It can create hydroplaning situation at 5:30 on a Thursday. You know, if you have any loved ones that you know are about to head home, and you know that they're going to be taking this route through 55. 44, 270 in South County especially, just tell them to hold off. Heavy rain, maybe some hail, and of course this stretches down to Columbia, Illinois as well. Okay, so let me put the warnings back on and give you that big picture. We jump back on because of a new tornado warning right here, and the warning and the signature on radar has actually strengthened, so the warning is really warranted because of that more intense signature. So let's zoom in on that and see what that looks like now. It was right over Marissa. We'll see if you're in the clear now, Marissa. It's headed into into Washington County and towards Nashville. It's not into Nashville yet. I'm going to switch over to just the radar. That rotation is kind of right here east of Marissa. So I know you're getting pounded with heavy rain, but as far as the rotation goes, you're going to be in the clear. Thank you. I appreciate that. Got a lot of people communicating back and forth, and I just want to say thank you to all of them, whether it's the guys in the director and the production, my news director's helping me out. It takes a team, and there's a lot of people behind the scenes. Appreciate it. So bottom line is Marissa in the clear as far as that rotation goes. But don't come up out of the basement quite yet. You just got heavy rain and maybe some hail. You don't want a tree branch or anything like that come through a window. But give it about 5 minutes. I'm going to switch over to the Doppler winds, and you're going to see that rotation is right here. And so there's Marissa in the clear from that rotation. St. Laborie, it's missing you. Now look, if you live south of town, I'm talking St. Laborie proper, but this is more rural into Illinois. It's getting in, it is now in Washington County. There may be people who they say, well, I live in St. Laborie, but really you live south of town. And so I want to make sure you know that just south of town, this rotation is hitting, in fact, just 4 miles south of town. Okay, where is this going next? Let's kind of loop this and see the trajectory. It should be mostly east, maybe a little north. I'm looking hard at that rotation loop. Right there, yeah, I think that is mostly east, maybe a little bit north. And that would put it very near Oakdale. There's an Oakaville, that's up here. You're gonna miss the rotation. Very near Oakdale in about 20 minutes. It might be just north of town. And then I mentioned the Washington County Lake, just south on 127. And if it veers a little more north, about a half hour, so Nashville area in about a half hour. And that is, at this point, I believe, radar indicated. Let's see here. Golf ball size hail potential with this storm too, by the way. But yeah, it's radar indicated. And so there's two aspects. I've been saying this with these supercell thunderstorms. A supercell is a persistently rotating storm. With those types of storms, there's really two aspects of the storm. One is going to be the rotation, which we've been really focused on for you, right in here and moving near Oakdale, if not maybe just the north side. But then there's also going to be on the north side some huge hail, and that is going to definitely clobber Nashville. And maybe the rotation just hits on the south side of town. So there's Nashville right there. So kind of two aspects of the storm, golf ball size hail, rotation. This is why we're on the air though. And of course we have other storms happening and a lot of people that are wondering what's going on. Sirens have been going off and on throughout the day. You got a lot of people that are in these warnings and wondering what's going on. Am I about to get hit next? Some of these have been complicated with multiple areas of rotation hitting the same town. Redwood was one of those. So we got 13,000 people in that tornado warning, and then we've got probably a lot in this severe thunderstorm warning that I was analyzing earlier and telling you to tell people to hold off on commuting. That's 200,000. And I just noticed this yellow box extended. That's a new severe thunderstorm warning. So this warning that has 200,000 people has now been extended. And the new one has 635. So we have 835,000 people that can get hit by, let's see what size hail we're thinking out of this. 1.5, is that ping pong ball size hail, I believe, Leah?
1.5? Ping pong ball.
So ping pong ball size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, hydroplaning on the roads in the heaviest downpours, 835,000 people. So if you're wondering why we're still on the air, tornado warning, almost 1 million people affected by this really intense storm, and that's why we continue to cover this. And there's other storms that don't have the yellow box, that don't have the warning, that look pretty intense and could end up turning into a severe thunderstorm warning. So here's my advice. See this heavy downpour here just north of U City heading into Jennings? Look, if you hear lightning and a downpour hits, we're in a volatile situation today. Just be inside and away from windows. That's the key. That's how you stay safe from a severe thunderstorm warning. You don't want a tree branch to go through the window or hail to break the window. So if you're just away from the windows inside, you're going to be safe. So even if it's not severe, but a downpour's hitting, that's what I would do. That's what I would do with my family. I would keep them inside and away from windows. Then just continue to follow us, stay alert. Hopefully you have a way to get warnings like the First Alert 4 weather app, and then that alerts you to if a tornado warning comes out, then there's further action. You got to figure out, you got to head to the basement, and it's always good to stream us so you know, am I actually impacted by this, or is this going to miss me? And that's what we're here for. That's our job today. We're going to continue to do it almost 6 p.m. So, you know, we've been on for a few hours, and we may be on for a few more, because big picture here, as I zoom out, there are still several storms off to the west and to the northwest. I would say the cold front is right about here. and some of those storms can be severe. This one had a little rotation, looks weaker. Now it's just severe thunderstorm warning. Didn't ever go tornadic, but that's hitting Troy. Probably going to get some good sized hail and a downpour out of that. These are more just downpours. I don't see anything severe out of that. We'll monitor. Then the storms farther to the southwest. Leah's really been doing a good job of keying in on this bow echo right here. She's been showing you that real strong winds could come into Reynolds County and Iron County eventually. If you're in Crawford and Washington, you're on the northern side, and we're going to monitor that. She's analyzing in the background too to draw my attention if we do see any circulation or rotation along that.
I can take over for a minute if you like and give an update to that storm and also some of the other storms that are backed off to the west. So as Steve was mentioned, I've been watching closely the storm. That Boeing segment that you see right here is just on the fringes of Reynolds County, but it's going to kind of lift to the north. So a couple other counties that will be included in this would be Crawford County eventually. And one thing with these types of Boeing segments that you have to watch for, these little notches. I'm starting to see a couple just northeast of Salem. Now that's, again, not in our viewing area. But with these Boeing segments, you can get these little tight, just sort of smaller circulations, and they can cause a quick touchdown, a quick tornado. That is not something that we have seen yet, but I've got my eyes on it, and the National Weather Service, they're also keeping their eyes on it as well. And if I click on the warning information, just so I can read a little bit of it here, they are saying, okay, they don't have any tornado tags. Sometimes with thunderstorm warnings, they'll add a tornado possible tag to it, just where there are signatures for maybe a little bit of rotation. That is not a tag that they have yet on this storm, which is what we want to see with it. We are still seeing signatures of, let's see, 1 1/4 inch hail, which would be $half size, and then still a possible wind gust as it's approaching. Again, that's going to lift into our area right here. Viburnum is going to be the next place that's in line with it. Still could be hit by 70-mile-per-hour winds. So that's that storm. I also want to note that if we're not maybe specifically mentioning your location, so we haven't talked about Phelps County, we haven't talked about Franklin County, you're just seeing thunderstorms. If we have not mentioned your location, it means that it's just generally you're in the clear, most likely, or you're just seeing general thunderstorms. So we have that around Franklin County. We also have that around Phelps County right here, and even Warren County as well, just general thunderstorms. So if we're not mentioning your place specifically, likely that's a good thing. We're just kind of hopping around trying to focus on the worst of the storms at the moment, and there's a considerable amount of them across the area right now.
It's a busy day, and we expected that. That's why yesterday, actually a couple days ago, we issued a first alert weather day for today, and that's just to kind of give you the heads up. And we even said, hey, the ingredients could come together for higher end storms. We're seeing that unfortunately come to fruition. Notice the bow echo that Leah was talking about down here. That's this little Boeing portion right here, but that's a squall line. Strong winds would be the threat there. Reynolds and Iron counties will monitor that for you. This is the new front. I haven't had a chance to update this graphic, but that front is pretty much right here. So basically, the cold front now is somewhere right along here, and that's still popping up some storms that are going severe as well with the threat for damaging winds and some large hail. We also have a tornado watch that goes until 9 o'clock. So we'll be on guard for hail, wind, and tornadoes for the next few hours here. It's 5:46 p.m. A lot of people trying to commute home on a Thursday, and in St. Louis just getting absolutely hammered here by some really, really heavy rain. So if I zoom in, downtown's getting hammered. Let's see what the camera hasn't quite. I can see some rain, but it hasn't quite started yet to where the visibility really drops. But the heavy rain's going to start any moment now. That was the BJC Skycam network from 360 at Hilton Ballpark. But, you know, if I zoom in, for instance, let's get rid of the boxes that represent severe thunderstorm warnings, because we all know this can create some damaging wind. Tree branches, trees even, can come down, and of course, some real strong, real large hail as well. So St. Louis Hills, as I zoom in and kind of street map for you, that's Chippewa, Southampton. We're talking around Lansdowne and Arsenal, a little farther to the west there. So St. Louis Hills area getting just hammered. It's one of the cores that we're seeing. It's where we see the dark purples and the dark reds. Zooming over a little bit to where Gravois and Chippewa intersect right there. Heavy rain, probably hydroplaning type rain on that area. I-55 as you go south. south of the city, really. It's not quite into the city yet, but south of the city, that's where you're seeing some of the really intense downpours as well. So just wanted to show you some of these deep reds and some of the purples. I mean, they really represent some just tremendous downpours where you might actually not get, you might actually think you're hearing damaging winds, but really what you're hearing is the rush of the heavy rain hitting. It's over the hill now, 44 as well, just getting hammered. And there's Compton and 44. That's kind of in the center of your screen. There's Compton and I think that's Lafayette right there. So absolute downpours, hydroplaning possible, and maybe some hail. Leah, what do you got?
Yeah, the hail over downtown that you were just showing, I've actually been getting some reports. Hail up to quarter size is what I've currently been seeing. So that is roughly 1 inch hail.
Okay, quarter size is a lower end hail, so that's not as big as the stuff we've seen in O'Fallon and Wentzville. Usually, unless it's wind driven coming out of a gust, which is possible, but usually that's not going to put holes in the rear windshield like we saw out of some cars out in O'Fallon and Wentzville. So it's a little bit of a different type of size hail. We'll see if the threat grows, but it's still right at the cusp, 1 inch quarter size hail, 1 inch size hail, where you can get some damage. And that could usually is in the form of like pock marks in the car as opposed to shattering the windows. So there's different, obviously, sizes, which means there's obviously different variations in the destruction. That's the view from downtown on the 360, from 360 at Hilton Ballpark and the BJC Skycam Network, Market Street down there. And it's going to just absolute pour and hail, obviously. It's starting to now, but it's going to get even worse as some of that heavy rain comes in. Okay, so we've been focusing on the severe thunderstorm warning for St. Louis. As we've been doing that, I noticed that we've had a warning out here near Troy, but notice this. We're talking about how these were ordinary, just heavy thunderstorms. Well, now there's a severe thunderstorm warning on it. And my guess is it's starting to become more organized, and that's why. You see a little bit of a bowing there. So right at the apex of that bow is where you would get some stronger winds. There may be some hail in there too. And if I loop that, yeah, that's lifting more to the northeast. So that's going to hit areas like Berger, Herman, New Haven, and then eventually into Innsbruck and Warrenton. That's kind of where our coverage started with a rotating storm, by the way. And we told you we're going to be on for hours. Well, here you are in those areas with another round of storms. And this one is a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging wind, probably some hail in there as well. So that moves off to the northeast. I'll track it at about, that looks like 45 miles per hour would be a good track. And that gets it into Herman pretty much now, next 4 minutes. And you see Washington, Missouri in about 20 minutes. Warrenton and Truesdale in the next about 26 minutes. So that's a new warning that just came out. We'll zoom out a little bit. We have a lot going on. If I try to simplify it, that's kind of hard to do, but if I try to simplify it, we've got a tornado warning that I'm going to focus on next right here after I give you this big picture. Then we've got this cluster of storms that can all produce severe weather. And then we've got this new batch of severe thunderstorm warnings, especially right here coming at Warrenton. And then we've got a bow echo down here that's coming at Reynolds County. So I mean, this is widespread, a lot of activity going on. But of course, one of the reasons we're still on is because we have this tornado warning. And it's probably now moved all into, yeah, it's all into Washington County. Let's get a better look at this for our friends in Oakdale. It's going to be northeast of you. And for Nashville, it's kind of coming at you. It's a weaker signature. That's some good news. Let me do the loop here. Give it a second to go. Yeah, weaker signature. If you're in Nashville, you like to see this because that's the rotation and it's just not as strong. If you're at Oakdale, you're getting hit with wind and maybe some hail, but the rotation right here that was right over or around Marissa. Let me draw a line here so I can show you what I'm seeing a little better here. It strengthened right around Marissa, and here it is now weakening. And it did move a little bit north of east, didn't it? Yeah. That trajectory is really important. I mean, a little bit north of east is the difference between Oakdale getting hit or Nashville getting hit. But either way, what I like to see is that signature is a little weaker. Now, that's still rotating. if you're in Nashville, we don't want you going out on the porch and trying to see something. This may be shrouded in rain. If it's rain wrapped, you're not going to see anything. So if there is a tornado, it's probably lower end, weaker tornado. And the other thing is, just like what we saw happen around Marissa, these storms can cycle where that rotation weakens. What it actually does, it doesn't really stop rotating, it broadens out. And when it broadens out, it's just weaker winds that can't pick up anything off the ground and create tornadic